I want to pick up on two comments. The first one by Bonaria Blackie. Mr. Diamond went on the Jeremy Kyle show. He took a lie detector test, and not only was he vilified by Kyle, he was booed by the audience, and the love of his life left him on the show. Then he went home. Within a week of that show, he committed suicide. Either Kyle or his team didn't check his mental health, or didn't check the mental health of their guests before the show, or Kyle's behaviour, together with the audience's behaviour, drove him to kill himself a week later. The lie detector was never done on air, so could have been lied about to rile up the audience. He had never cheated on his girlfriend, but still lost her. And of course, Jeremy Kyle is entirely exonerated. If there is one silver lining to his death, it is that the Jeremy Kyle show was cancelled for all posterity. Dr. Common Sense says, I haven't kept up with the story at all, so appreciate your comment. Sounds terrible, and I hope he is in a better place now. John Whiffin, however, says, odd how you put your distorted spin on it when you don't like the answer. Well, oh gosh, there's so many aspects to this sort of thing. In 2019, Steve Diamond's appearance on the Jeremy Kyle show marked the tragic final chapter of his life. And after failing a lie detector test that aimed to settle allegations of infidelity, he took his own life a week later. The show was swiftly cancelled following his death, with intense media scrutiny highlighting the exploitative nature of reality TV. And in 2023, the full inquest into Diamond's death found no causal link between the show and the suicide. Jeremy Kyle, who attended the inquest, claimed that the ruling was a form of exoneration. 2024. What are we now? Are we 2023 or 2022? I have no idea. Sorry. But the complexities surrounding the case raised deeper concerns about the ethics of reality television as well as dating. What is the date? What is the date? Well, I can't see. It's the 11th of September anyway, a date which is etched on our memories. And what is the date? I don't know. September the 11th, 2024. In 2024, the full inquest of into Diamond's death was found. So 5 years after the event, there's an inquest. Now, the whole point about an inquest is not there to exonerate or blame anyone. It's there to find the facts. So while the coroner's finding might legally distance the show from Diamond's death, many have questioned whether it's morally or socially responsible to ignore the impact of the programme's combative and often degrading format. And the Jeremy Kyle show thrived on public confrontation, encouraging its working-class guests, mostly, to air grievances in front of a jeering studio audience. The use of lie detectors, DNA tests, and confrontational language was not just for resolution, but more evidently for sensational entertainment, and Kyle's caustic style, often mocking or belittling guests, contributed to the atmosphere of hostility. The show, which may have been labelled as poverty porn, profited from the vulnerabilities of its guests, exploiting their lives for ratings. And the inquest and Kyle's claims to be exonerated have reignited debates about the role of reality TV in perpetuating harmful narratives about working people. Diamond's death may not have been directly caused by his appearance, but it's difficult to separate the cultural and psychological toll the show might have taken on him. And former staff from the show have admitted to baiting guests and highlighting, creating heightened tension before they appeared on camera. It's called production. In fact, with production, anybody who's been on television will know you're asked the same question about 5 or 6 times before you actually go on air. By the time you get on air, it could sound stale. Although Kyle denied these allegations, the format speaks for itself, pushing individuals towards emotional distress for the sake of public spectacle. It's not alone in doing this. This is why there was and should have been a proper, completed parliamentary committee hearing into the issue of reality TV production. More broadly, the tragic event fits into the larger history, therefore, of reality TV, which has thrived on exploiting the misfortunes of society's most vulnerable. Shows like Benefit Street, Can't Pay, Won't Pay, Can't Pay, We'll Take It Away, the Great British Benefits Handout. They want to show, they want to offer social commentary, but in reality, they capitalize on poverty for viewer entertainment. And these shows, including Kyle's, mirror social prejudice, reinforcing negative stereotypes of the poor, the unemployed, the less educated. And in this media landscape, the less fortunate, though of course probably the more vocal, become little more than characters in a drama constructed by production for mass entertainment, for mass consumption. These people who are on the screen are little more than ciphers. Even as Jeremy Kyle and his defenders cling to the Inquest's ruling as proof of his innocence, it's evident that Diamond's death has drawn necessary attention to the harmful practices of such shows. And the cancellation of the Jeremy Kyle show signals a shift in public tastes, just at the same time as even more reality TV is thrust down our throats. Like some sort of duck enjoying foie gras. It's a recognition, perhaps, that such exploitative formats can be questioned, but at the same time, they are still imposed. And the fact that we're questioning these formats doesn't absolve the industry or the viewers of responsibility. As reality TV continues to evolve, but not evolve very much, there should be a reckoning about how past mistakes have contributed to real-life harm. The emotional and the psychological cost borne by participants in such shows, often for the amusement of others, cannot and shouldn't be dismissed. And of course, there'll be people who come back and try to belittle the argument and dismiss the individuals. Diamond, me, anyone who's been on reality TV. Why would you do that? Well, you do that because you're asked. The majority of people I know who've been on reality TV didn't volunteer to do it. They were asked. From magicians who've been on Britain's Got Talent to Steve, what's his name now, who was on the first one of the first talent shows, and he was completely I forget his name. I've spoken to him. And what's the name of the Osborne? Mrs. Osborne. I can't remember her first name either. Forgettable lady, anyway. But she harangued him on screen in the most unforgivable way, saying that he wasn't a nice person and that he's boring or something. Steve, he wrote a book. He wrote a book about it. The experience of being on these shows haunts people and produces real life harm. The emotional and psychological costs borne out, it's show people who have been on these shows continue to suffer, and we can call it PTSD, we can call it an error of judgment, we can find all manner of ways to distance ourselves from the reality that by switching on the television or by looking at it on social media, we are indulging a form of entertainment which is exploitative. We are contributing to people's misery. And ultimately, the Inquest's ruling is a legal one, not a moral vindication. As Kyle claims to have been exonerated, rubbish. Society must still confront the broader consequences of a media culture that, for years, has used the most vulnerable in society for entertainment. And it's vital that lessons from this dark period of television history, which continues, of course, are fully acknowledged so that the same mistakes will not be repeated.